Welcome back. On Real Cop Stories videos, which you're on right now, if you want to contact me or ask me questions, please get on this site right here, RSB Cop Stories. I'm reading it, obviously, at gmail.com, and I'll answer your questions as best I can. All right? Thank you so much. Here's, again, earlier I mentioned about 99% of these stories I tell you are actual stories I did, and hundreds of them. Some of them are what I call hearsay. In other words, I sat in a room during like an operation and we were bored, and you get a story from someone. And this is one of the stories. I've been on the job about 9 years. I'm top step officer. I'm getting ready to make detective, and I'm with a couple of sergeants. We're doing a command post because there's some big demonstration going on. They need people to direct traffic. So these two sergeants are directing traffic, meaning people, personnel. And so there's a lull in the action right now. So we're just sitting there, and one of the sergeants, there was a top sergeant, and then he had a couple of lower grade sergeants. He had a pin on him. It was a Medal of Valor pin, and you get that for obviously shootouts is a big thing back in the 70s and 80s, and then later on it was rightly so. They gave it for officers that have run into burning buildings and carry people out. You know, the firemen badmouth us. They said that's not our job to do that. But when you hear someone screaming and you can't wait for the fire department, we're alphas. We're going to go down, kick that door down, and if it even costs us our lives, that's what we do. I don't sound corny, but that's what happens. So his was a shootout. I have to get a little background here. Our guns were revolvers at the time, and you buy the revolvers from wherever you buy them from, and they have what they call a Sear. It's a piece of equipment inside the weapon that allows you to cock the trigger and then shoot. Our department policy is you can't have a cockable weapon, because we've had officers shoot themselves in the foot because they forget to uncock it. You cock it, put it in your pocket, then all of a sudden it goes off. So they took that little Sear off. You have to actually pull the trigger each time you fire the weapon. A little antiquated, but that's the way it was in those days. This sergeant was working part-time in a jewelry store in the Wilshire district as security guard. Okay, it's plain clothes. He at that morning went to the academy and bought a small 2-inch revolver. Okay, excited about getting the new gun, went to the range, fired about 5 rounds, make sure it works, and then went to work off duty in this jewelry mart. Okay, jewelry store. Didn't remember to get that Sear cut off. Our armor does those things. Our department armorer. So he's there. You can see it coming. Okay, naturally, the day he's there, 2 guys come in, and he's standing off to the side, and they pull guns, and they're robbing the poor owner of this jewelry store with guns. Okay, so he said, he's telling us a story, and I'm like, I'm in awe of this, even though I was in Vietnam, but you got someone that actually has a Medal of Valor for this thing. So, there's no time to call the cops because the 2 owners have their hands up, and they're taking jewelry, and they're even robbing the owners. So he said he stood there, and they were yelling at him not to move, and the suspects were black, the sergeant is black, and the suspects were yelling the N-word at him all the time. Just, do this and do that. So he said, I just stood there and took it, and I'm waiting my time. I had my hands up, and I'm watching their deployment, meaning where are they at in relation to my gun shooting them. I don't want to shoot the owners behind them. We officers train that way. It's called background. You don't want to shoot someone, just blindly shoot at someone, because you have to look and see, unfortunately, for a split second, what's behind the suspect. Because we only hit 15% of the shots we fire. So if you fire 6 shots, you're only going to hit 1, maybe 2. Okay. So he said, I was told, so I'm watching for the background. I don't want him to get, so as soon as they turned facing me and started walking towards the door and looking at me, the owners are off to the side now. He says, now's the chance. Pulls out his 2-inch, pretty close, within 10 feet, right? It's not a big store. Fires 2 in what I call the 10 ring of the front suspect. Hits him right. 10 ring is right here. If that camera picks it up, it's right just by the breastplate. That's a 10 ring. He said, I put 2 into that guy. The other guy, again, criminals are punks. Okay, they're not. They usually wind up shooting like this, and they watch too much gangster movies. The other guy turned, didn't know what to do, and then of course the gun's turning. He said, I put 2 into him. Okay, well those kind of miss. So that guy runs out the door. This guy's already down. He's yelling, and in the meantime, they're calling the police. Okay, he runs by the first guy, takes his gun away, and then runs outside and sees the guy run about half a block and then collapse. Okay, he got a lung shot. He wasn't dead. He collapsed. So he's yelling in the street, call the police, watch out, he's got a gun. I mean, he's trying to direct traffic. He's got the door open, he's covering this guy, yelling at this guy. He said, I'm directing traffic. People are seeing this, and he says, all the time, it finally hits me that the gun I have only has 5 bullets. It's such a small undercover gun. I carried one for years. Most little Jack Webb guns have 6 bullets. This one's such a small one for undercover work. It's only got 5. He said, I'm standing there thinking, oh my God, I've only got 1 bullet left. Kind of like Barney Miller or Barney Fife. on the Griffin show. So, of course, he's not on duty. On duty, you always carry all kinds of ammo. No, he's just there off duty. You didn't even think in the world he'd get in a shootout. Okay, even though you're security. So anyway, so he said it took about 2 minutes before the cavalry arrives. Cops everywhere, helicopters, motor cops, and so they take everybody into custody. Okay, so we're all laughing about this, and he's really a nice guy, very personable guy. They go, so, they take the gun. Our department takes a gun. They do ballistics on it. The district attorney wants it. And they make sure it's okay, and that goes, and then all the reports, like a day later, he gets to go home, because it's just shooting. So the attorneys are out there, the city attorney, everyone wants to make sure everybody's okay. The owners want to hug him and give him their firstborn. I mean, all this stuff. So about, 3 months later, the Gregory Peck hosted the Medal of Valor Awards. 14 cops, how many number they have that are heroes are up there. He's up there. He said, I get the Medal of Honor for the shootout and saving these 2 guys' lives. I saved my own life, which they don't care about. And so I'm up there, proudly getting my medal. He says, now everybody's patting me on the back and great job and blah, blah, you're going to make lieutenant, which ultimately he did. And it's great. He says, I'm great. I feel great. Okay, he got his gun back and, everything's good. But a week after the awards, no good deed goes unpunished. He's sitting in the office and here come, my captain comes down with a guy in a suit. He goes, when do you see you? You go, because they had internal affairs investigating this. Everybody's investigating this. And he came back clean, okay? Going to the captain's office, and the captain's sitting there and he's shaking his head. He's got his head down, shaking his head, and he goes, what's the matter, boss? He goes, I have to give you a day off without pay. And he goes, for what? Well, what did I do? And the internal affairs guy goes, he wasn't sorry because it's his job to burn officers, okay? He just goes, you didn't have your gun fixed with the sear removed. And we're all sitting there going, what? He even said, are you kidding me? Here's where the bean counters come in. According to department policy, your gun has to be fixed in the proper way. You fired an improper weapon, Really. And he told him in the interview during the whole thing that he just bought it like 3 hours ago. And he just wanted to try it out. He fired a few rounds, and they don't care. They're like stone. They are bean counters. You've been around these bean counters in offices. The rule is the rule. Homeowner associations, all these things. You go up there and they have you do something that's minor, and they go, oh, Tyrannosaurus Rex syndrome. The hands go up and nothing comes out. Okay? He goes, you're kidding me. And even the captain goes, yeah. He's the one that had to give out the penalty. But in this case, he had no choice. It came from downtown. They mandated a day off without pay. In fact, I think I remember him saying they mandated 2 days without pay, and the captain said, F no, I ain't doing it. So they had a big argument about that. So he got the 1 day off. He says, I got a Medal of Honor on my uniform. I shot these guys. They're shooting at me. Although they didn't shoot at him, they didn't have enough time. And here, I'm a hero. Gregory Peck shakes my hand, and then I get a day off because my gun wasn't fixed. He says, I go, and I was a young officer. He had like 23 years on. I had like 6 or 7. He goes, you guys just do what you got to do. We won't worry about that day off. That's just nothing. I go, man, that's tough. That's cold. He goes, yeah, that's your policies and procedures, but you got to be careful. Tell your people, make sure it's squared away, because you can get in a beautiful shootout. You could kill Kennedy's assassin, and they're going to give you a day off without pay because your gun isn't right. I mean, seriously, they don't look at the 2 ends of this. You got to look at the heroism involved. This day off, throw it away. Oh no, that sets a bad precedent. Really? Okay, well, whatever. So that was an interesting story, and I just felt sorry for the guy. But he was proud. Okay, he made lieutenant and retired, and a good guy, very smart man, very sharp, and obviously very heroic. And so I thought you'd share that story with you. It wasn't my story, but we sat there for hours on this command post, and you hear these stories from these really seasoned guys. It's impressive. It's impressive. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.